There are four factors underneath comfort and fit. The first thing is the fit itself, right? How snug are they when you wear them? Do they make your toes hurt? Do they pinch? If you stub your toe, does that hurt way too much? We're going to look at that. The second factor is the ease of putting on. I think this is really important because I like to just slide into my shoes and slide out whenever I like, really. And then breathability, right? So if I play long hours, right, I might play 4 hours, 3 hours at a stretch. So when I play, I need to be able to wear the shoes for a long period of time, right? If they're too hot, then I start to feel uncomfortable. So that is very important in the overall comfort and fit. And then finally, the weight of the shoes, right? Are they too heavy to the point where I need to take them off immediately after wearing them, right? So those four factors, add up to the KPI of comfort and fit. So starting with the Harden Volume 7s, for fit, I would give it a max, right? Because it has this knit thing here, right? You just wear it. It fits one-to-one with your foot. You have these puffer pillows that just, cage your foot. And besides protecting your foot, it just gives you a nice snug feel. And then you have this like suede sort of a toe cap. Also, like when you press the front of the toe cap, you can feel that's an extra lining. You might not be able to see that here. It seems like it's layered underneath the suede material, so that if you stub your toe, like you hit your toe hard, this is going to protect you from feeling the brunt of that force all too much. Overall, the shoe just fits like a glove, right? It literally, if a jacket were a shoe, this would be it, right? So for fit, I think they really designed this for that primarily. So this gets the max 2.5 for fit. And then moving to the AC12s, these are nice. Obviously, just because I'm comparing them to the Harden Volume 7s, they fit really well. The lacing system is quite basic. In terms of fit, it's fine. It actually also, it doesn't mold to your feet just like the Harden Volume 7s, but it's pretty snug. It's pretty all right. Also, right, I have noticed that for these Asian brands, they've made a habit of making their shoes a bit slimmer, right? So the tendency is that if you're a wide footer, your toes might start to hurt if you play in these for a very long time. So that might be a little knock on that. It's fine for me. I have a bit of a wide foot, but overall I haven't experienced too much pain or discomfort in them. So overall fit is good. I would just say the Harden Volume 7s are better in terms of fit, right? In terms of how they just conform to your foot and make you feel like it's one-to-one. But these are good. Like you can see, you have a lot of space here. So if you're like a guard that changes directions a lot, you're not going to feel restricted because you're essentially your ankles are free. So I think for fit, for sure, this is really good. I would give this a 2, not quite a 2.5, which is the max score for these mini categories. I would give these guys a 2. Really good, but just not as good as the Harden Volume 7s in this category. And then lastly, we got the AE ones, right? So my first impressions when I put on the AE ones, they did fit very snug. You see these honeycomb sideburns. They hold your feet in and you feel locked into the shoe. There's a 1-1 feel is really good. I think the only problem I have with the shoe is that because of how this collar comes up, it sort of digs into the top of my ankle, right? So this right here, and the material isn't plush like the Harden Volume 7. It's literally just a cloth, right? It just feels like folded cloth. So this was digging into the top of my ankles quite a bit, and I did feel that discomfort, if I'm being honest. Also, the way the laces are, right? You can't really get all the way to this lace, right? So I always almost undo my laces before I wear my shoes, so I'd get all the way to the bottom and I try to slide my foot in, and then I would still get caught in the heel. This heel tab is not that flexible. You can't really draw it all the way back to make room for your foot. So it was a challenge putting the shoes on, really. But in terms of the fit, I would say overall, my foot felt really locked in. I would just say the pinching right here, and also when I would stride, right? When I would run, I don't know if you see how that folds, right? The plastic here is a factor because the plastic sort of digs into the front of your toes a little bit. I felt that a little bit, not too, I actually is not unbearable, but it's just, these are all great shoes, so everything counts, right, in this analysis, right? So when I would flex, I would feel it right there, just close to the toe box, right? So because of those factors, I would really say, for me, fit, I would also give it a 2, just like I gave to the AC12s. Everything is almost perfect, but it's just not on the level of the Harden Volume 7. So this gets a 2 for fit. Okay, so the next factor under comfort is ease of putting on, right? So starting with the Harden Volume 7s, right? This is a dream to put on, right? The laces, they come off, pretty easily. You just undo the laces. You just spread this knit, right? You see how wide this expands, right? And your foot is in. Reminds me a little bit of the old school, like the Currys with that sock, knit type, upper. So this is really easy to put on and also take off, and it doesn't you can't slide out of this, right? There's no heel slippage or anything. Your foot is locked in, right? It's actually contoured, right? If I put my finger in, it's contoured towards the back of the shoe, so your foot actually goes in and then locks in the back with a sturdy heel counter. So for ease of putting on or taking off, this is right at the top of any shoe I've really played in, except for the Currys, probably on the same level with the Currys with the knit. Okay, and now moving to the AC12s. Also, I would say this is max, very easy to put on as well. Like once you take off the laces and you swing that open, your foot is right in there. So I would say these guys as well, max score for ease of putting in, putting your foot in and taking your foot out, right? So that's 2.5 for these guys. And finally for the AE1s, a couple things, right? The AE1s, the laces like close to the toe box, but they don't really, especially this first one, doesn't really do anything, or it doesn't make it looser for you to put your foot in. I personally like to take all my laces almost undone before I slide my foot in, and even when I do that, it's still my laces, my foot still struggles, right? It gets stuck, and I have to really pull on the heel tab. And you can see it's not like the Hardens, right? It's not stretch cloth. This is a firmer sort of cloth that doesn't let you really put your foot in, right? So I found it a bit harder, if I'm being honest, to put my foot in this and take it out, right? So and I wasn't looking forward to playing in them just because of that, right? I just don't like to have to hassle to put my foot in the shoe. So for ease of putting on, right, just because of that heel tab issue, I would give these a 2, right, just below the AC12s and the Harden Volume 7s. And then moving to breathability, right, and that's an important factor, right, how your feet don't get too hot while you're playing. Now these guys, just look at this, right? This is a puffer jacket of a shoe, right? So really all your ventilation comes from this knit material, which if I stretch it a little bit, I might see some light go through it. And when I blow through it, it's a little bit of ventilation, but it's not the best, right? So I would just go ahead and give this a 1 for ventilation, right? Just play where there's air conditioning or something, right? And then for the AC12s, I mean, this has top marks of ventilation. You can see that mesh, right? You can see that mesh on this side. You can see that mesh on this side, and I could easily blow through that and feel that. There's also the mesh right here close to the toe box, so it's airy in this shoe, right? You're gonna feel refreshed. You can play in these for hours and not feel like your legs or your feet are getting hot, right? So yeah, top marks for ventilation / breathability. These guys get 2.5. And then finally, I also have, right, the AE1s, right? So for breathability, these guys are like the Hardens, right? There's the honeycomb design. It looks good. It feels like there will be some airflow around that, but really, Yeah, really not so much, right? So I would say like the Hardens, maybe a bit better, but even when I played in them, I did feel some sort of heat starting to build up uh, right here. So for me, I would say not the best for breathability. Also, this cloth, right? It's almost thicker, right, than the one in the Hardens, and it has no stretch, and I can't see nothing passes through this, right? So this might even be worse than the Hardens, but I'm just gonna give it a 1 for ventilation or breathability, and let's leave it at that. Finally, under comfort, we're gonna look at weight, right? So there has been a lot of talk about the Harden Volume 7s and the AE ones being on the heavier side of things. These shoes are a little bit heavy in hand, but every time I put them on foot, they actually don't feel heavy, right? So if you hoop, if you play basketball, any position, I think you should be able to carry like these shoes on foot. I think the heaviest shoes, I think it's something to do with the weight distribution, because I have a Way of Weight 8s, I believe. Those shoes are heavy. I think they're like the same, a bit heavier than these, but they feel heavy, right? These guys are heavy at hand, but when you put them on your foot, you feel light. You feel like you're wearing a regular shoe. So I wouldn't count the weight against them too much. But since I do have to score them, I wouldn't give them a 1 or 1.5, for over 2.5 for weight, but I would give them a 2, right? Just because they're not all the way there, but they do still feel very, very light, right, to play around in. Okay. So the AC12s, on the other hand, right, these shoes, I need to really get a scale because these shoes are super light, super light. There's a leaning shoe called super light, which is why I paused, but these shoes are super light, and they're just a dream to play in and just forget they're on your feet. So 2.5 straight away. I'm not going to waste any time there. And then I would say the AE ones, I will put that in the same bucket as the Harden Volume 7s. Almost the same weight, but still they don't feel heavy when you play them. Trust me, guys. I was really skeptical about this, and I thought, oh, these shoes are heavy, man. No way, no way. But really, they don't actually. I had to go back and watch some of those reviews. Like, you guys said these shoes were heavy, but they don't feel heavy on foot, to be honest, right? But just a little bit worse or a little bit heavier than the AC12s even on foot. So they get a 2, and the AC12 gets 2.5, right? So what we have for the Harden Volume 7s, we have an overall of 8 for these guys, 8 over 10. And then for the Wade All City 12s, we got 9.5. Just looking at my spreadsheet over here, we got 9.5, right? So these are good in terms of comfort and fit overall. And then the AE ones, we have the AE ones at a score of 7 over 10, right? So those are the relative scores for comfort and fit. We're gonna, of course, weigh those, add that to the score for performance, considering the weights, and then at the end we're gonna give them an overall score over 10.